Hi, I'm Hari, and today I'm going to talk about what photosynthesis is. If you don't know what photosynthesis is, I'm here to explain. Photosynthesis is a process of converting light energy to chemical energy and storing it in the bonds of sugar, also known as glucose. This process occurs in plants and some algae. Plants need light energy, CO2, carbon dioxide, and H2O to make sugar, glucose. So what does photosynthesis do? So besides making glucose, they also make oxygen, O2, that humans and animals need to sustain life here on Earth. It's also the reason why there are so many plants on Earth, because with so many plants on Earth, it creates massive amounts of oxygen, O2, which helps keep the life on Earth, which keep alive. So what does plant release after photosynthesis? Well, besides glucose, sugar, they also release something that not just me and you need, but animals and other plants too, oxygen, also known as O2, a gas that covers the entire Earth and sustains life here and sustains the life that lives on it. Have you ever wondered where the CO2 comes from for photosynthesis? Well, I can answer that question. You see, we humans not only breathe in oxygen, but we exhale carbon dioxide, also known as CO2, which is like a poison to us, but is needed for plants to even start making glucose. What does photosynthesis produce? Besides air we breathe, they also produce a special sugar called glucose. Glucose is a plant's kind of food. It's in vegetables and fruits, and it's all needed, and it's almost one, and it helps them grow. So what happens when a plant makes extra glucose? Where does that go? Well, if a plant ever makes extra glucose sugar, it would turn into starch and keep it in its leaves. Have you ever wondered what photosynthesis is in a chemical equation? Well, I know. It's 6H2O plus 6CO2, sunlight, C6H12O6 plus O2. And if you're someone who doesn't exactly understand chemistry talk, it means 6 molecules of water plus 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus sunlight produces 1 molecule of sugar plus 6 molecules of oxygen. What color is the leaves on a plant? With all talk about plant cells and chloroplasts you think would be mentioned, the thing I'm here to explain is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a little chemical on the plant that has little green pigment in it that colors the leaf. Why do leaves change color? Well, the reason why leaves change color is because leaves stop the process of photosynthesis for winter, and when that happens, cells in the leaves begin to die, and leaving chlorophyll that can actually change many colors, not just green.
Hello there, I'm a plant cell. Today I'm going to tell you that I have a nucleus that provides me some information and a cell membrane that allows nutrients to enter and exit. And I also have chloroplast. That's like a jelly substance that surrounds my cells and makes it a lot easier to move. Now, I forgot to tell you the basics, like what are cells and organelles. Well, let's start with cells. Cells are basic units of life, and organelles have it. Now let's talk about organisms. And now let's talk about some organelles, like the nucleus. It's one of the largest organelles in the cell. It's dark and round and is surrounded by a double membrane. It also contains genetic info and special strands called chromosomes. Another organelle is a mitochondrion, which is a large number in most cells. Oh yeah, we can't forget about thylakoids. They are flattened sacs inside chloroplasts. Oh yeah, stroma, which is tissue of epithelial organ. Well, I hope you have learned some info. Now you know what cells and organelles are.
Today I'm talking about cellular respiration. What is cellular respiration? Well, it's the process of oxidizing food molecules like glucose to carbon dioxide in water. The energy is released and typed from the form of ATP, which is used by all the energy-consuming actives of the cell. The process occurs in which two phases glycolysis, which breakdown of glucose to pyruvic acid. Concept 1 of cellular respiration. Glycolysis occurs in the crystal to which the Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix of the mitochondria. 3 oxidative phosphorylation via the exfoliation transport change is carried out on the mitochondrial membrane. In the absence of oxygen respiration consists of 2 metabolic pathways. Next, glycolysis and the fermentation. Both of these occur in the cytosol. How is celebration relates to photosynthesis? Well, water is broken down from oxygen during photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Oxygen is combined with hydrogen to form water. The photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. Cellular respiration requires oxygen and releases carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. Next, cellular respiration requires oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. ATP is produced by almost all living things and organelles called mitochondria found in cells. It's not energy itself, but rather temporary stores of energy in its bands where the third phosphate stored its broken energy is released. This creates ATP, which has one less phosphate to the group. ATP is the acronym for academic trisulfate, and the compound is not lactic, which can store large amounts of energy in its bound cells run by using ATP as a fuel source. Added 1P to ADP, which has a battery, gets charged, and as soon as it's charged, it can give off pyrrhic of energy that can be used to work in the body.
And that's the end of our nice learning program. Well, maybe you could see us later and we might teach you something.